Let's make 4/4 a little spicier. Before I get into this, please hit the subscribe button and the little bell notification. If you want to learn how to understand and write progressive rock or metal, this is the place. And there are hundreds of videos on this channel covering all kinds of topics. And if you have a Discord, come hang out on the Prog School Discord channel. We have a lot of fun there. Links to all of that stuff is in this video's description. This is a pretty basic rhythmic concept that can be taken really far once you get a handle on it. And this can be done with any time signature, but in this lesson, I want to focus on 4/4 just to keep it simple. The idea here is to divide a time signature, in this case 4/4, into odd subdivisions. 4/4 has 16 16th notes, and usually that would be divided as 4 groups of 4. But it can be divided in lots of other ways. 7 and 9. 5 5 6. 3 3 4 3 3. So these odd patterns are happening inside of a 4/4 bar, and this can add some extra syncopation to that 4/4. Here's the 5 5 6 pattern with the drums playing a traditional 4/4 backbeat. Or you can lean more into the odd patterns. Here's that same rhythm with the drums accenting the 5 5 6 pattern. So this can create some really cool syncopated 4/4 grooves, but if you want, you can lean into those odd patterns and start to make it feel like a group of odd time signatures, and this can be taken a lot further than one bar of 4/4. 2 bars of 4/4 have 32 16th notes, and this allows for a lot more subdivision options. For example, 7 6 7 5 7. And even with just 2 bars, this almost has endless combinations already. Now you might be saying, aren't these just djent rhythms? And yes, you can create those type of rhythms with this concept, but this is kind of the reverse approach. Meshuggah style rhythms, for example, are usually built from the odd patterns and then adjusted or modified to fit inside some amount of 4/4 bars. Whereas here I'm starting with the time signature and filling in the space with odd patterns. The end result can sound very similar, but my thought process is a little different. I'm only talking about 4/4 in this lesson because that's the easiest for most people to understand, but this rhythmic concept can apply to any time signature with any amount of measures. I dropped a short little piece of music on the channel a few days ago where I took a riff from 9 years ago and turned it into something a little more fleshed out. And I used this rhythmic concept a few times in this piece. That's part of the reason I'm making this lesson. So let's take a look at this idea in action. The rhythm happening at the beginning and end of this piece under the main melody is a total of 3 bars of 4/4, and the tempo here is fast, so I'm using subdivisions of eighth notes, meaning there are a total of 24 eighth notes in these 3 bars, and that's being divided as 5 5 5 5 4 here. Now within the groups of 5, it's divided as 3 and then 2, and that's another thing with this idea is that you can divide these larger subdivisions into smaller subdivisions. The idea for the groups of 5 actually came from the original riff from 2014. It starts with this 5 eighth note long pattern. So when I was expanding upon that original riff, I knew I wanted to keep those groups of 5 to tie the other sections of the piece to that riff a little better. And I didn't want to write something in 5/4, I wanted something a little more straightforward, and that's why I put these groups of 5 into 3 bars of 4/4, and that created a rhythm that would be much easier to write a melody over and would contrast the manic riffing happening elsewhere in the song. This rhythm plays in its simplest form at the end of the piece. And the intro just has a slight variation where the guitar is playing an extra eighth note in the patterns of 5. At the end of the melodic section, there's some rhythmic trickery where I treat 3 bars of 4/4 like 4 bars of 3/4 or 4 bars of 6/8. Now that's a subject for a different video, but it does show how you can use these type of rhythms with different time signatures as well. Now for a more complex use of this rhythmic concept. This is the crazy riff in the middle of the tune, and this lasts for a total of 8 bars of 4/4 or 64 eighth notes. The pattern here is 5/5/7, 5/5/5, 1/5/7, 5/5/5/4. Let me break this down so it's a little easier to understand. This riff is really split into 2 parts, the first being 5/5/7, 5/5/5, which equals 32 or 4 bars of 4/4. The whole riff is built from this simple guitar pattern, which uses that same 5 rhythm divided as 3 and 2. And for the 7 pattern, it just adds 1 beat of 16th notes at the beginning, and that one group of 7 makes this fit perfectly in 4 bars of 4/4. The second half of this riff is just a variation on the first half. The main difference is that here it starts on the and of 1 instead of on the downbeat, hence that group of 1. Other than that, the groups of 5 and 7 are built the same way. I just swapped the second 5 with the 7, and then did a pattern of 4 at the end instead of 5 to have it line up, since I started this one 1/8 note past the downbeat. This riff would have been cool with just that first 4-bar pattern repeating, but this variation adds a lot here, and it makes for a longer, more interesting riff overall. The first time through the riff, the snare drum is following these odd patterns, and the second time it's doing a halftime backbeat. Once again, this idea of leaning either into the odd patterns or into the straight 4/4 groove. As you can see, this rhythmic concept has a lot of possibilities, especially if you get into longer phrases like 4 bars, 8 bars, 16 bars. And I love ideas like this where you can take it as far as you want. And if you get anything out of this, it's that you should try to create a few rhythms using this technique. It's a great way to make some more interesting sounding rhythms, especially in 4/4. And if you enjoyed this lesson, subscribe, hit the bell notification, like, comment, share. Till next time, stay proggy.